Hi everybody, this is Candace Knight and Ritchie Blackmore. As many of you probably know, I have been asking, begging, pleading for him to do a book for many, many, many years. I figured this might be the closest thing to getting him to tell you guys some of his amazing stories that I have been privy to for the last 34 years, and only his innermost circle has been listening to. So I think what we're going to start with is the story he was telling about him and Eric Clapton.
This little story is how I met Eric Clapton. I remember Deep Purple was supporting Cream at the Forum in Los Angeles. Funnily enough, in the front row, I think, was Jimi Hendrix and George Harrison sitting right there, right in front of me, which was a kind of a strange part of what I was doing. Before the show, I think Eric came in to the dressing room I was in with Purple. We'd never formally met before, so we introduced each other, a little bit of small talk. And I was always impressed with Eric's, not only his ability to play brilliant guitar, but his sound. I loved the fat sound he got. So I was questioning him. I said, Eric, what strings were you using when you first started playing? And he said, I was using Clifford Essex strings. So I went, wow, Clifford Essex. So I immediately, after the meeting, got my Clifford Essex strings, which I played for quite a while. And then he also said that he took up piccato strings. So I went for piccato strings after that. But I was trying to figure out how he got this great sound. Basically, he was using Clifford Essex strings in the beginning, and then it went to piccato, and all these strings I used for years, all because of him. Then we all went on stage, did our thing, and Freeing went on. They were great, as usual. The next time I saw him, I think it was my birthday, he had been sick, and he'd been in the hospital, which was in Minneapolis, I think, or one of those places. He was in the same hotel as we were. I heard a knock at the door. He'd just been let out of the hospital. I answered the door, and Eric was there. He had a little wooden pole, and on the end of the pole was a duck, and the duck would quack as he pushed it along. He said, this is a present for you on your birthday. And I was taken aback because I didn't know Eric that well. I took the duck, and we exchanged pleasantries, and I asked him how he was doing, blah, blah, blah. I had the duck for years. It was a nice present from him. The beginning of the Strat actually came indirectly from Eric Clapton. I was living in Acton with the band, Purple. We were all together in one house. I'd often been interested in playing a Strat. One of the roadies for Eric knew one of our roadies, and he came over the house with this Strat with a slightly bent neck, bowed neck. And I was very intrigued with this guitar, so I picked it up and I said, would you sell this? And he said yes. So I think I paid £60 for the guitar, which used to be Eric's, and Eric gave it to whoever this guy was. I've forgotten his name, the roadie. I played that guitar on a song we did on Deep Purple called Emeretta. I used the Wow Wow pedal because that was the trendy thing to have in those days. Incidentally, one of the first people that I remember playing a Wow Wow pedal was Jim Sullivan, Big Jim Sullivan. He was my guitar teacher who lived around the corner. That was way back with Marty Wilde, and he played a thing called the Bat. And it was a Diamond foot pedal, which if you pushed the pedal one way, it was volume, and if you pushed it up, it was tone. So you had this round effect. If you pushed it around with your foot, it would give you this wow wow effect. And that was, to me, the first wow wow pedal I ever heard. And of course, Jim was brilliant. Anyway, back to this roadie who sold me this Strat for £60 that used to be Eric's, and I played that on Emeretta, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I bought another Strat, which was a sunburst Strat. And I also purchased a black Strat, as far as I remember. This would have been 1970s, 71. What I used to do with my Strats was I had a habit of not liking one particular neck. So what I do was take the neck off via the 3 or 4 screws at the back of the neck. I would also glue the neck so it was more stable, because Fender has a habit, as much as I love them and play them still, the top string, the top E, tends to go off the fretboard a little bit, and the bottom E comes in. So if you pull the neck up, and then I used to glue it, and then it would stay in the position and not drift, because sometimes it would drift with these 3 screws instead of, being glued down. So that was a little thing I used to do with my Strats. Another time we were in a hotel in, I think it was Melbourne, Australia. What happened was I knew that Eric was with his band in the hotel. We'd had 3 days there where we'd been woken up very early with hammering, the usual nonsense that goes down in hotels. And we were so sick of it, we actually threatened the front desk. If you wake us up again tomorrow, we will bring all our amplification into a room and play at 3 o'clock in the morning, and see how you like your patrons liking hearing this noise. And which we did. The next day, of course, the hammering started as per usual. They took no notice of what we said. So we went ahead and brought in some Marshalls, stacked them, and my friend actually started playing the guitar. He started playing some bad blues, actually. And what happened was, as soon as he started playing, it was so loud, we got a bang on the door, and it was Eric's security. And believe it or not, Eric was in the next room to where we were, and I thought Eric was in another floor way away from where we were. And that was embarrassing. So we stopped playing, because to be next door to Eric and he's trying to sleep, it's 3 in the morning, and my friend, who's not a good player, started playing this noise. So we stopped. But the next day we had some words with his security, and I said, look, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize we were next door. Anyway, that kind of went away, but it kind of was embarrassing, especially to think that Eric might have thought that it was me making this racket on the guitar. I was in there having a drink, but I wasn't playing. But that doesn't get me off the hook. And it was really my idea to make all this noise. Of course, when we left that hotel, we came back to England, and we noticed the hotel that we stayed in, there was a chalkboard, and written up on this chalkboard was, there will be at 7 o'clock in the morning a fire drill. And we went, here we go again. We're going to hear noises and bangs. And so we said, if you do that, we will bring our amplifiers in and we'll start bashing away, doing what we did in Australia. And luckily enough, one of the guys behind the desk said, wait a minute, we've just read about this in the paper. These guys will do that. So they changed the time of the fire drill to a respectable 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So our reputation preceded us. So now we're known for going into hotels with Marshalls and bashing away. I've since corresponded with Eric because he has that myopathy, which I have, which is arthritis. That is not one of the best things to have when you're a musician. That's my small Eric Clapton story. Candace here is always asking me to write these stories down, and I think they're kind of private and sometimes silly. So to me, it's I would never write a book. I have many stories that I tell my friends when I'm in the bar drinking, like now. And next time I think of a story, I'll get back to you people, if anybody's there listening. Bye.
Oh, I forgot to hit record. Just kidding.